everyone, welcome back to another video, and today is a sad day in that we are doing the finale that is going to wrap up all the role quests that we have. So we accept the quest here from Glynard, and the quest is called Shadow Walk With Me. Glynard is overjoyed to welcome the conquering hero's return. So maybe we'll finally get some answers to who that other elf is. Well, that ain't the great hunter herself. What are you talking about? As if you don't know, all four of the Cardinal Virtues laid low, all with your help. You're the talk of the stairs, Claire. When the night returned to Lakeland, we knew in our hearts that change was on the horizon, but never did I dare hope that you might rid us of those terrible fiends. You surpassed my wildest expectations. Not mine, Glynard. When I first laid eyes on her, I had an inkling that she was the hero we'd been waiting to come along. Ha! Easy to claim after the fact. If you'll indulge me, though, I would love to hear your tale of how it all played out. The hunting of the virtues, that is. My word, there's so much more to it than I realize. And there I thought you only had to track down the bloody things. Gods, though, the things you learned about the Warriors of Light. So many secrets and details lost over time. And for all their hard work and sacrifice, they somehow brought about the flood? Can't say I understand it all, but it's a bloody tragedy it is. We should gather the others and toast their memories. Heroes of Eld, brave and true, to be remembered forevermore. Now, I'll thank you not to let your bleeding heart drive you to offer up a fortnight's stock of spirits. Attend to your other customers and let me speak with the hero of here and now. Whatever would I do without your good sense and wisdom? Very well, I'll leave you to entertain her, but don't think we won't be having that drink someday. Claire, I must thank you for sharing with us such incredible tales. 'Tis only right that I repay you in kind. With the ending, that is, with the story of the true villain who towers above the virtues, the devil more deserving of death than any that yet lingers in this world. If your curiosity has been piqued, then meet me atop the balcony overlooking the CRYSTARIUM mean. I will be waiting there until you do. Okay, I don't know how that's possible, but she's definitely involved in this. Where is Cyella when I need her? Running off on a personal matter when we're busier than ever. Bah! Okay, so I am all but certain that she was that elf from the memories. Like, she traveled with Oddbird and the others. I don't know how it's possible because that was 100 years ago. And she is still remarkably young. I mean, I know Elizens or elves age a lot slower than the other races, with the exception probably being the Viera. But this does not make sense, because there is no way she could still be looking that good after 100 years. I would love to know her secret, but still, something here does not add up. And if she really was friends with Oddbird and the others, why didn't she cross over to the source with them? Oh wait, is she dead too? Oh no, that's not going to be fun here. You came, as I knew you would. Never met a mystery you could leave well enough alone, or a demon that you could let live, am I right? And this demon is undeniably deserving of death, make no mistake. To cut them down would be just improper, the act of a goodly person, and that is just what you are. I can see that. No need to grow impatient or be offended, my friend, but before you pass judgment on this villain, you need first understand their part in everything. Who they were to the fallen Warriors of Light, for instance. Of course, right about now you must be wondering how I know what I know. What a tavern wench of all people has to do with any of this? Let me tell you then. I am the one who brought together the Virtue Hunters. I am the one who marked you as a potential ally to them and bade you join them in their quests. I alone knew what had to be done, and what sort of sinner would be needed to see this tale of tragedy and betrayal brought to an end. But come, we have many moms ahead of us still, to KHOLUSIA and the Codger's Crook. I will go ahead and wait for you there. Okay, that's not at all creepy or disturbing. Like, I know who you are, I know why you're here, and I know that you were the only one who could do all of this. Like, that is creepy. Who is she? So the way I see it, she's either the very same elf or Elizin that we saw in those memories, or she could possibly be a descendant of that person. I highly doubt that second part. I mean, if I had to really place a bet on it, I would say she is the exact same person. I just don't know how that's possible unless she really is like a ghost or something. You are accustomed to life on the road, I see. As am I. Do you recognize this place? I thought you might. Here is where it began, where Oddbert first met Lamette. Still young and lacking in experience, but possessed of so much potential. Heroes in the making. Even then, the keen-eyed could see. They would only fulfill that promise much later, though, after joining with their other dear companions, Brandon and Ronde Ray. And one other, an elven woman, not half bad with a sword. But perhaps you're already asking the question, who? There were 5 warriors of light in all, but she would make 6. Indeed, after adding Nailbirth, there does seem to be one too many, but believe me when I say that there was indeed a 6th adventurer lost to history, and her name was Silva. Though I doubt I need to convince you of this truth, when you walked in the Virtues' memories, you saw her time and time again, did you not? Then you saw the true villain, the traitor responsible for all their woes. Let us continue the story elsewhere, to ARAENG and the Fields of Amber. Okay, this is not good! So, she was a traitor to the others, like, that seems to be happening so much lately. I mean, you have like a group of heroes, you have one of them turns out to be a villain in disguise and she betrays them. Kind of cliche, but at the same time it does make sense. I'm not sure how I feel about this. But why is what I'm trying to understand. Like, how did she betray them? I mean, was she the one who was responsible for causing the flood? Because it was said that it was because the other warriors of light, they were trying to save the world and they accidentally triggered the flood. I still don't know how they could have triggered that flood because they apparently destroyed an Ascian or 2. So how could that have somehow accidentally triggered a flood? I just do not understand that. You saw the true villain's face in their memories, and I told you her name in KHOLUSIA. But what were her crimes, you ask? Hearken to my tale and you will learn. Cyella had joined the others before they first met Nailbert. After their party of 5 came to this place, they took on a commission to slay a powerful beast that had taken up residence in the mines. Said beast was believed to be the instigator of ever more terrible tremors, and so time was of the essence. But during their hurried search, they crossed paths with their future companion, then a competitor aiming to absurd their prize. After another tremor triggered by the beast trapped them all underground, they had no choice but to work together to lay it low. But to their dismay, even after its death, the earth continued to shudder violently. As the adventurers looked to each other in confusion, Nailbird strode towards the beast's body and grabbed hold of a curious stone. A stone brimming with untold ether that he had sought out that he might harness its potential to rescue a loved one lost in the rift. But so powerful was the stone that it warped the flow of the life stream. Its very existence was a threat, and so when faced with the choice between one life and countless others, Nailbird wept and shattered the stone. He had held his comrade's salvation in his hand and cast it aside for the greater good. For his sacrifice, he was judged a hero. In life, Nailbert was a pragmatic figure whose wisdom and sagacity were admired by all. Little wonder that in death he would retain his virtue. But as Nailbird mourned the friend he forever lost, the betrayer Cyella looked on in silent contentment, for they had taken the first step on their path towards becoming heroes brave and true. His sacrifice had sparked the transformation. 'Twas fuel for the ritual to come. What ritual, you may wonder? Fear not, all will become clear in time. Come with me to RAKTIKA, to the city of swamps. We must retrace the steps as they were taken to understand the depth of her treachery. Okay, this girl is seriously creeping me out. She's seriously bad news. So from the sounds of things, she was responsible for a lot of destruction, like a series of events that kind of led up to the others becoming heroes. And so kind of what I'm getting from this is that all of this was planned out, that all these events were put into place specifically to bring out the heroes in them or something like that. This place is far too familiar to you, know, from days recent and long since past. After the events in ARAENG, Oddbird and his comrades grew in fame, spurring others to entreat their aid. The adventurers sought out greater and greater challenges, and in pursuit of another, they came to RAKTIKA. While here, the hunter Ronde learned about the notorious mark Balamquiz was near, and so under cover of darkness, she slipped away from the others to slay the beast by herself. Like Nailbert before, of course you already know what her motive was. Balamquiz had robbed her of her fellow hunters. Only vengeance would redress the balance. Moreover, she would not dare risk the lives of her new comrades, so terrified was she of the mere possibility that she might have to relive that terrible day. And so she faced Balamquiz alone, and would have surely died for it, had Oddbird and the others not arrived in time to help. Like Nailbert before, of course you already know what happened next. For her love, her conviction, and her resolve was she chosen by Hydaelyn. And from that day forward, Ronde swore never again to betray her comrade's trust, to share with them the triumphs and the tragedies, to relinquish the freedom that she once held in the highest. The bravest, most courageous hunter that ever lived, that moment would define what she became in life and in death. Her sacrifice would hasten the transformation, which was fuel for the ritual to come. The betrayer Silva looked on, yet more satisfied. They were oblivious to her machinations, unaware that they were dancing to her tune. The journey continues, and so must ours, to El Meg and LAKELAND. But at the same time, it leaves so many questions. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get some answers before this is over, but I'm not sure that I'm going to like what I hear. As beautiful now as it was then. You saw it too, would you not agree? With the death of Balam Quiz, the legend of Oddbird and his comrades had grown larger than ever. Thus emboldened, they came to the kingdom of Verbert. Verbert had long been troubled by what some had dubbed a magical plague, innocents found transformed into misshapen fiends that the kingdom's knights had no choice but to put down ere the contagion spread. Brandon had been one such knight. In his youth, he had served the Princess Sadia faithfully, only to be cast out during a single mistake, and thus did he take to the road where he met Oddbird and the others. Having grown stronger and wiser and more respected, Brandon felt it was time to return and redeem himself, and with the aid of his comrades, he did just that. Tadric, the court mage, was unmasked as the mastermind of Verbert's misery, and by the disgraced knight's blade was he brought to justice. But with his dying breath, Tadia cursed the Princess Sadia, sentencing her to a fate worse than death. At her behest did he raise up his blade, and for the sake of the kingdom, strike down his liege lady. With that single stroke, he forever changed, though nearly not in the way that was necessary. He stood at the precipice, and almost forsook his compassion for unflinching judgment, but mercifully turned aside at the last. Thus did he find and embrace true justice, that which weighs law and heart together and strives for the greater good. 'Tis a long, difficult road from which many stray, settling for simpler moralities, but I would expect no less of the man who would become Daikaiose. His sacrifice would strengthen the transformation, which was fuel for the ritual to come. And as her companions grew ever more powerful, so too did the betrayer Silva. Bit by bit, they brought her closer to her goal. But it was not yet finished. To KHOLUSIA they returned, and so must we. Tomra and the next chapter of our tale awaits. slowly but surely the adventurers were fulfilling their potential. Word of their deeds in Verberg spread like wildfire, and their legend grew even larger. But for all their success, the fledgling heroes would be forced to endure more hardship and welcome more sacrifice. They pressed deeper into the depths of RAKTIKA, towards ancient Ronka. 'Twas there that the dwarf Lamet came to the crossroads, for in claiming the magic she desperately desired, she would be forced to renounce something equally precious. Dwarves are a reclusive lot, wont to withdraw from the outside world that their many traditions might be preserved in isolation. When the stone blight began to spread, many chose to lock away the afflicted and refuse to seek outside help. But Lamet would not abide this. She vowed she would save her ailing kin, her sister among them, even if it meant violating dwarven law. With her newfound power, she returned and cured the sick, and for this she was banished by the Council of Elders. This came as no surprise, for she had made her peace with it long before, when she stood in that ancient ruin and called upon forgotten guardians to grant her forbidden knowledge. She knew what the price would be. She had weighed her traditions and identity against the lives of those she loved and made her choice, though it pained her terribly and in ways only a dwarf could understand, and Hydaelyn, it would seem. Through hardship and sacrifice was a new warrior of light forged, a healer that knew more than any the value of a life, and would do anything to see it preserved, even in death. Her sacrifice would nearly complete the transformation. 'Twas fuel for the ritual to come. Very soon then. Very soon. For Odbert and his comrades had stumbled upon evidence of a larger design, threads linking together of the desperate troubles of the realm. A name spoken only in whispers, the Shadowkeeper, a singular force sowing chaos and discord throughout NORVRANDT for an unknown end. If the Warriors of Light truly wished to save their world, then they would need to confront this villain among villains. And at the end of their exhaustive search, at the end of their struggle, who do you think they found waiting to welcome them with open arms? The answer to that lies in Lakeland, our final destination. The villain yet walks among us, Claire, unknown and unpunished. Go on ahead and wait for me at Lockset Loft. There are preparations that I must first attend. Okay, I am now deeply concerned about this whole thing, because if she is who I think she is she trying to either complete what she began before? Or maybe just she feels genuine remorse for what she had done and is looking for her judgment. Either way, it looks like we are almost done here. So we know how the others all got their crystals of lights, all except for Odbert's. So I'm guessing that this is maybe we find out a little bit more about Odbert's past then? Or maybe to the events that led up to the flood. I mean, we already know about most of the events that led up to the flood, but this might be what actually triggered it. Well, one way to find out. Damn you, Silva! We were comrades in arms, friends! That we were, and that we are. Everything I said, everything I felt, it was all true. You mean the world to me. You're the bloody Shadowkeeper! What the hells was this for? For you, for every one of you, to forge you into heroes worthy of her blessing, that she might choose you as her champions. A ruthless mage consumed by the pursuit of power to save his friend no matter the cost. By his sacrifice, a warrior born. A mournful hunter scarred by tragedy resolved never again to trust in others. By her sacrifice, a warrior born. A disgraced knight who yearned to steal his heart in justice's name. By his sacrifice, a warrior born. A troubled healer torn between tradition and love. By her sacrifice, a warrior born. And their leader, an adventurer with a heart overflowing with love for his dearest comrades, who must now bring his axe to bear against his own. By his sacrifice, a warrior born. I am the villain you seek, the keeper of shadows, from a world shrouded in dark. By our struggles will this world be shattered and its souls saved. Saw it all, did you? I thought you might. Mother's gift has a knack for showing us exactly what we need to see, if not what we want to or when. They knew me as Silva, but my real name, it doesn't matter. Like you, I am not of this world. I crossed the rift and came to the first. My home, the 13th, fell to dark in a calamity that mirrored the one which nearly claimed this world. I was one of several heroes who failed to save it. The boy, Unikalhai, I've glimpsed him in your memories. He was a friend. Like him, I heeded the words of the Asians, and that I might redress the balance, I chose to come here and hasten a rejoining of worlds. A shard subsigned by dark demands a mirror of blinding light. Primordial forces will strive to achieve equilibrium. But there was a solution, a single solution, I believed. Were a flood of light to consume this shard in its entirety, it would be of no use. The Asians made it clear it must be brought to the brink, but no further. The task was difficult, but the plan simple. Souls predisposed to light, fledgling heroes in the making. I would bring together Oddbird and his comrades and groom them for a higher purpose. I would play the part of comrade and guide their course, all the while laboring in secret to pit stronger and stronger enemies against them, until finally, once they were warriors of light, brave and true, I would reveal myself as a warrior of darkness and extinguish their radiance forever. Thus would this world be primed for a rejoining, and the source for a calamity. The Asians who called themselves Midtron and Modrith were confident it would succeed, and indeed, Oddbird and the others rose to the occasion, as I knew they would. It was not to be. I had misjudged Oddbird. His comrades before him had made their sacrifices in turn, and as their mirror, I had grown stronger for it. Had he but embraced his role and struck me down, victory would have been mine. But Oddbird, dear Oddbird, would not forsake his heart. In the end, he chose mercy, he chose love, and I was undone. The rest you know. He sought out Mitron and Lodric and granted them what he refused me. They accomplished everything they set out to achieve, and then the flood came and washed it away. In the wake of my betrayal, I would look on from the shadows and reflect on my many sins as all fell to ruin. Denied death, then and now, and perhaps ever after, as a fragment of my essence endures. But then one day, years ago, my fallen comrades rose again as the Cardinal Virtues. It coincided with the arrival of the first scions, I later realized, a defense against the forces being marshaled to undo my failure. I can but assume that the Ascians planted the idea in Volfrey's head. They were his creations after all, and with their graves in Eulmorian territory, it was doubtless a simple matter to have their bodies exhumed and prepared. Who am I to speak, you may think, when I say this, but when I saw these abominations he had wrought in their image, I was filled with such despair, such anger. I cannot unwrite the past. My soul is stained with blackest sin, and I will not pretend that it can ever be otherwise. But this act, I could not ignore. If the Ascians were going to such lengths, then surely others would cross the rift in due time, and so I hatched a plan. I would assume the guise of Cyella, and as her take up residence in the CRYSTARIUM, where I would take measures to bring together the most ambitious of adventurers, individuals driven by more than mere coin, virtue hunters. That way, when the enemy the Ascians feared more than any came to the first, the stage would be set. They would join in the hunter's quest, and together unmake Volfrey's simulacra and lay their souls to rest once more. And so you did, Claire. The virtues are no more, but the one ultimately responsible for their creation, the devil who set them on their doomed path, lingers still. You know all there is to know of the heroes who saved this world. The truth I kept hidden in the shadows is yours, and there are no more secrets to share, and so I ask you to now grant me that which Oddbert could not, death. You still have a duty to others. No, don't do this. Don't you spare me like he did. How can you stand there and say I deserve to live, knowing everything I did, the lives I destroyed, the chaos I wrought? The Wardens pale in comparison. Surely there is no greater villain than the Shadowkeeper. Which is why you must live and atone for your deeds. I should have expected a hero would say something like that. How does one even seek atonement? 'Tis an undiscovered country with no charts or stars to guide. How will I even know when I find it? Perhaps I may yet find purpose in preserving my comrade's legacy, in helping others to understand the sacrifices that made them true heroes. For now, I shall return to the CRYSTARIUM and continue to assist Glynard while spreading the forgotten tales of the Warriors of Light. You would have been good friends, you and Oddbert, in another life. Maybe you and I as well. Wow. Well, that was one way to wrap up a story. So that's the whole truth. Turns out the Shadowkeeper was one of the Warriors of Light after all. Or rather, one of their comrades, because she technically wasn't a Warrior of Light. I mean, I don't know what she was back in her homeland. I mean, she definitely has the echo, so she was definitely one of those chosen people, but man, that is rough. What do you even say to that? Well, I guess that's about it now. We are going to be finishing up this story once and for all, and why? I want to know more about their adventures. I really, really do. Well everyone, looks like that's gonna be it for now. We're just gonna speak with Cyella, or whatever her real name is, one last time. I see Cyella finally returned. She seems a bit more, how should I put it, at ease? You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? No, of course not. I tell you, I am not at all accustomed to wearing armor any longer. Simply moving about in it is enough to tax my strength. And fighting? Ugh. Any one of Captain Lena's recruits could probably put me flat on my back. Fortunately, I needn't rely on my sword to spread the truth of my fallen comrades' deeds. Only words in the passage of time will see their legacy redeemed in the eyes of the people. Thank you for accompanying me on my journey of remembrance, Claire. May your deeds ever be remembered and celebrated, as all heroes deserve. Welcome to the Wandering Stair, love. What? What does that look for? I'm still a tavern wench, aren't I? We all have our parts to play. How fare you of late? Still tending the bar, cleaning up after drunkards in Genoult. If this is the punishment you had in mind, I struggle to fathom a harsher fate. In all seriousness, I have been making an effort to use my spare moments to entertain patrons with stories of the Warriors of Light. The truth, with all the forgotten glories and sordid details. This being a bar, most of the folks lending an ear are a few drinks deep, so there's no telling how much of it they retained, or believed for that matter. But I'll keep at it. Stories have a way of spreading. Why, only the greatest villain of her day, the mysterious architect of countless tragedies all across NORVRANDT, who finally faced justice at the hands of the Warriors of Light. The betrayer whose defeat set in motion events culminating with the Flood of Light. But you knew that much, didn't you? Before I took that name, I was known by another in the 13th. A shard all but subsumed by darkness. There I met the Ascians, who convinced me that the only path to salvation was to embrace the dark and journey onto this world. I had two objectives. One was to raise up heroes brave and true, worthy of champions of the light, Albert and the others. I would join them in their journey and shepherd them onto glory. Heroes need enemies to grow stronger, and so I sowed the seeds of discord. From Lakeland to KHOLUSIA, from ARAENG to Ilmeg, I set in motion events that would forever change the lives of my comrades and the countless others. My second objective was contingent on the first. I would confront the adventurers forged by hardship into warriors of light and strike them down at the height of their power, ensuring that the delicate balance between the primordial forces would be preserved just so. But in the end, I failed. Tell me about the warriors of light. Albert, Lamette, Brandon, Ronde Ray, and Neilbert. These are the names of the villains responsible for the Flood of Light, which nearly destroyed our world. Lies and slander, of course. They were as much victims of fate as any of us. They traveled the length and breadth of NORVRANDT, helping those in need, and for their deeds came to be known as heroes. But sometimes, all it takes to destroy your reputation is a bad turn. And yet, despite everything that happened, they refused to give up. They cut a deal with the man in white and made one last desperate gamble. But you know that tale better than me, don't you? Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun running through the role quest here. I hope that you all did too. And thank you for joining me on my journey here. So until next time everyone, take care and have a good rest of your day.